Welcome to Lingua Latina Tutorials with Mr. K. This is chapter 44, lesson 1. We see here at the very beginning of the chapter a frieze from an ancient Roman wall temple, and it shows a sacrifice of a bull, a sheep, and a pig. This is one of their sacred ceremonies, and it's called the Suowetaurilia. We see here in the margin, which would be declined just like Maria. So it's a neuter third declension I stem, and that comes from the word sus, which is pig, and ovis, which is a sheep, and taurus, which is a bull. And here it tells us that this is a sacrificium, a sacrifice in which immolatur sus et ovis et taurus, in which these animals, the pig and sheep and bull, are immolated, and that verb just means sacrificed. So let's read aloud here in this section from Livy about Ancus Marcius after Tullus. Jus fetiale. Fetialis, we see in the margin, is just anything having to do with the law of war, or also it could be a legate who enforces the law of war. So it could either be a person or just the idea. So here we have the adjective form, which is the law concerning warfare. So after, let's read aloud in Latin first. Mortuo tullo res ut institutum jam inde ab initio erat, ad patres redierat, hique interregem nominaverant, qui cum comitia haberet, ancum Marcium regem populus creavit, patres fuere auctores. Numae Pompilii reges nepos filia ortus, ancus Marcius erat, qui ut regnare coipit, et avitae gloriae memor, et quia proximus rex religiones aut neglexerat aut prave coluerat, omnium primum sacra publica ut ab numa instituta erant facere constituit. Okay, go ahead and read through the rest of that section aloud in Latin and come back and let's translate. The law concerning war. After Tullus's death, here we have ablative absolute with Tullus dead. The state, here we have our race word, which means things, but standing for res publicae. The state, as had been instituted now already thence from the beginning, returned to the Senate. So the concern of the Republic returned to the Senate, and these guys had elected an interregum, a king between the kings, somebody to rule between the kings. Here we have qui starting a sentence, and this is referring to the interrex, and so we're going to translate that as and he. And he, when he held a comitia, or an assembly to elect a king, the people chose Ancus Marcius as their king. The Senate, patres, were fuere, short for fuerunt. The Senate was the guarantor, the authors or the supporters. So Ancus Marcius was the grandson, the nepos, of King Numa Pompilius. He was born, ortus, from his daughter. And over here in the margin we see his daughter's name was Pompilia in the Roman tradition. And he, as he began to rule, both mindful of his ancestral glory and because the previous king had either neglected religious things or had honored them badly, first of all things decided to make public sacrifices as had been instituted by Numa. Here when we have uts, we can translate them as, and we do translate them as when we don't have the subjunctive following them. Okay, so go ahead and try translating that section on your own, and then I will see you in the exercises.